An implication is a statement of the form, if A, then B, where A and B are statements that can either be true or false. And this is sometimes shortened as A implies B, where this bolded arrow here is the symbol for implies. Now, usually when we think about implications, we think about it in the following way. If A is true, then B is true. But let me ask you this. What happens to the truth and falsity of the entire statement, if A, then B, if we play around with different combinations of the truth and falsity of A and B? That is, what happens if I say make A false and B false? Does that make this entire statement false? Well, let's answer that question by playing around with an example. So here's an example of an implication. If you call between 5 and 7 p.m., then I will answer. So let's first label our A and B statements. This is A, this is statement A, and in pink here, this is statement B. Now, a great way to think about the answer to the question that I just posed is just imagine that you're the one that's making the statement. And think about which scenarios, that is, which combinations of truth values of A and B result in situations where you're living by your word, living true to your word, and which scenarios, which combinations of the truth values of A and B result in a scenario where you're going against your word, you're breaking your deal, you're breaking your promise, you're lying. So, let's think about the different combinations of A and B, where A can be true and B can be false. A can be true and B can be true. A can be true, A can be false and B can be false. And A can be false and B can be true. Now, which of these situations results in a true statement? That is, which of these situations results in a scenario where you're living true to your word, where you're not breaking any promises? Well, let's think about the situation where A is false. Well, if A is false, say you call me at 3 p.m. Well, I've said nothing about 3 p.m. I said nothing about hours other than the hours between 5 and 7. So, in any situation where A is false, I'm always going to be living true to my word. In both of these situations, no matter what the truth value of B is, say I answer or say I don't answer if you call me at 3 p.m., no matter what, it's still going to result in a situation where I'm living true to my word, because I can't possibly be going against my word if I've only promised that I'll answer the phone if you call between 5 and 7. So if you call me at 3 p.m., I'm always going to be living true to my word, regardless, because I didn't say anything. I didn't make any promises about 3 p.m. or any other hours besides the hours between 5 and 7. Now, of course, if you call me between 5 and 7 and I do answer, then of course I'll be living true to my word. I won't be breaking any promises because I did exactly what I said I would do. If you call me between 5 and 7, then I will answer. Now, the situation where I do go against my word, the situation where I do break promises, is if you call me between the hours of 5 and 7, that is, A is true, and I don't answer, that is, B is false. This results in a truth value that's false. That is, the entire statement becomes false. This entire implication becomes false if you do call me between 5 and 7 and I don't answer. And in fact, that's the only situation where this entire statement is false. So this answers our question, when is an implication false? And this combination of truth values of A and B and the resulting truth value of the entire statement, if you call me between 5 and 7 p.m., then I will answer. That is the entire implication. This combination and resulting truth values of the implication generalize to all implications. So here's the truth table for all implications. So the implication is true no matter what, unless the hypothesis, this is sometimes called the hypothesis, the A statement, and the conclusion have a truth value of true and false, respectively. That is, if A is true and B is false. In all other scenarios, this implication is true. And again, this truth table applies to all implications.